can really pay off depending on the spell distribution at the early levels.
And I see Azrael running with a thief. We'll be interested to see how long that thief stays alive. Sometimes thieves can be really useful in helping you run from those initial encounters. Other times, you just want that thief dead, so that you're only running with 3 characters. We'll have to see which direction he goes.
And it looks like the runners are off, and they're checking the magic shops right now. So we have Fire 3 and Ice 2 in the Black Magic Shop, and we have Life in the White Magic Shop. And already it's hurting Xelnas to have the 2 red mages, because that is in a slot where he can't learn it, and it looks like he's going to remake his party to take advantage of that.
Yep, sounds like an idea. It's going to cost him a little bit of time to redo this party. We'll probably see him run with at least 1 white mage now, so that he can pick up that life spell. Probably still go double black belt, looks like. And then we'll see what he does with his 4th character. Meanwhile, Azrael has already left Caneria, picked up a little bit more gold, and looks like he's going to buy himself some provisions before he goes and fights Garland.
Yeah, so it looks like Xelnas is now about a minute behind, but that minute is going to be more than made up by having access to life on his character at level 1.
And Azrael is off to the races now, headed north up to Garland. You get that traditional first encounter of 5 imps when you get the ability to strike first. You'll see that anytime that you finish the game and get all the way to the end, where you see the end put together in script. If you sit there and wait for that entire thing to finish up, this will be the first encounter you get in your next game.
Looks like the first chest in Temple of Fiends is 2,750 gold. Nothing spectacular, but every bit of money in the early game helps.
As far as scaling goes for this round 1 of our tournament, prices are anywhere between 50% to 200% of their original prices. Enemy stats are pretty closely within line of what you might expect for Final Fantasy, with a little bit of tweaks. 83% strength up to 120% strength. And so you'll see that these enemies are a little bit less or more strong than you might expect. Probably not that much of a consideration here early in the game, but we'll probably notice it if some of those bosses are at 120% strength later.
So it looks like just about 5,000 gold distributed among the 3 chests that are in Temple of Fiends, so nothing really exciting. The Garland fight, pretty easy for Azrael with access to Fire 3.
Down he goes, and Azrael gets a bridge and a musical instrument for his trouble, and we'll head on across that bridge and probably go, we'll see whether or not he goes to Matoya or goes straight to the next town of Provoca. Looks like Xelnas is just wrapping up some of his shopping, and he's going to go tackle Garland shortly. As far as the thief goes, Edge, what do you think of a thief in this sort of a round situation? Do you think he's going to try to keep him up so that he can be useful as a character and perhaps as a runner, or do you think the thief's days are numbered?
I think it's most useful to keep the thief alive about through Marsh Cave and then let them die afterwards. Marsh Cave particularly with its high ambush rate and a little bump in difficulty as far as the enemy goes, you can definitely benefit from having an alive thief in the lead slot of the party.
It looks like Azrael has made his decision and is heading eastward. He's going to skip Matoya's cave and her 3 chests for the moment. He's going to opt to head straight to Provoca instead. We'll probably see him route back around with the ship. That's correct?
Yeah, and I think with access not being great to save options on the world menu, I didn't see any tents, cabins, or cheap houses. He may just elect to do that later.
So the Rurus go down on Azrael's side, and he'll continue his trek across the continent. Xelnas has picked up his chests and is going to go ahead and take care of his Garland fight now. So considerations at this point, other things you might be thinking about in this round 1 randomizer seed. Weapon stats are as they are in the vanilla game. I don't think that's going to be too much of a consideration for either of these runners, though. I mean, Xelnas is running double black belt, and he won't care about swords or critical hit rates except for what the black belts do. White magic, harm 4 and pure, available in the white magic shop. And then even on Azrael's side, he really only has one person that's going to wield a sword in white mages or red mages. There we go. And a Bane pickup at level 2. We might see some hot Bane strats, Edge.
Perhaps. It's a lot more useful early game than it is late game. So if there's maybe an early crown, you might see Astos getting Bane. But other than that, I would trust the more reliable Fire 3. Fire 3 making quick work of the pirates while Xelnas finishes up his fight with Garland, and he will pick up his complimentary loot and bridge. And now Azrael picks up the ship, and he's going to head down to the item shop, and we have a bottle sighting and cabins for about 200 gold. So cheap heal potions and expensive cabins, but they kind of balance one another out.
And that bottle is at about 45,000, which is on the, if I recall correctly, is on the cheaper end, right? Is the bottle 50,000 in original?
Yeah, most of the time in the randomizer, you'll see it going for the max price anything can sell for.
Game Boy F9, I see your question in chat. You're asking why Xelnas is a bit farther behind here. He did not like the selection of magic spells that were available to his double red mages that he was using in the level 1 magic shops, and so he did a quick reset and is going with a white and a black mage instead. It's put him behind maybe a minute and a half at this point, but this early in the race, it's nothing that can't be taken care of. And wow, he finds the tail. Matoya has a class change available for our characters.
Not just the tail, but a giant pile of money and a ribbon. So the witch was sitting on some really good items this seed.
That's one of 3 ribbons in the game that'll give you universal protection against all of the status attacks in the game. I believe, Edge, it can hit extremely rarely every once in a while through the ribbon. But other than that, it's one of those main defensive items you're looking for in order to put together an endgame run.
Yeah, you can still get hit through a ribbon if the random number generator gives you one of the 2 critical fails that are in the table, but that is significantly more rare than the success rate without the ribbon. So the ribbon makes you nearly invincible to all of the nasty instant death effects that are screwed about this game.
So likely the next stop for Azrael on his ship tour will be to round the small continent that Cornelia Castle sits on, and then go visit the dwarves next. The dwarves have 2 chests that are available here to take a peek at, and he did go ahead and save his game, and we'll see him go up in that direction. If the TNT is not there, then that leaves one place for the TNT to possibly be found, and that's way over in Marsh Cave.
I've actually changed my routing a little bit regarding the visit to the Dwarf Cave. I generally go to Elfland first, the thought being that if either Exit or Warp are there, I'll save time if the TNT is in the Dwarf Cave, and if not, I can just reset straight back to Elfland.
Okay.
It looks like a reset is in order, with only 385 gold and a cap.
Yeah, that cap isn't going to be enough to keep anybody around. Meanwhile, Xelnas is still working on his shopping a little bit, sees that the bottle is available in Provoca. That's one of those times where you get out your pad of paper and you start writing down some notes so that you can remember where that was later. Black Magic shopping, Edge, what did you see?
Lit 3, which will be very nice. It'll help clear out the wizards in the Marsh Cave. And we have Exit in the White Magic shop, which is a very good way of getting out of the Marsh Cave.
It's looking increasingly lucky that Xelnas did go ahead and get away from those 2 red mages, because that exit spell was also sitting in a slot where the red mage would not have been able to learn it. So Xelnas is a little behind on time, but it was a wise decision for him.
And Invis 2 in the White Magic shop as well, and Fast in the Black Magic shop. So a very nice assortment of early magic. And we have houses available. It's good to pick up a few of those before dipping into the Marsh Cave. Lets you refresh the exit spellcast.
And there's chainmail. Chainmail is always a nice pickup to find, especially early in the game. Provides 15 points of absorb, and is generally one of the cheapest, cheapest for the effect that it has in the game. Silver bracelets also available. They're a little bit more on the expensive side, but also a reasonable pickup, and that can get you all the way through the mid-ladder parts of the game before you want to start upgrading those.
Yeah, I feel like those 2 items are some of the best value as far as armor goes in the game. Similar absorb, chainmail with more of an evade hit, but both of them coming early, they're really beneficial for the early to mid game.
Chris of the Mount, I see your comment in chat talking about being able to redetermine a party in the tournament. That's perfectly legal, as long as you maintain any forced party members that are required for you to run in the seed. In round 1, there are no forced party members. There are in round 2 in successive rounds of the tournament where you have to keep a certain party member or 2. But other than that, at the beginning of the game, if you're not seeing what you were hoping to see, you're more than welcome to go ahead and take that reset and recreate your party from scratch if you want to do so.
And that thief in the front slot, unfortunately, is not going to do anything against a pack of shadow.
You rolled a party and you don't like what you're seeing in Canaria, even when we're doing our regular races, it's perfectly okay to go ahead and redo that.
And on the top floor, Azrael finds a gold bracelet, immediately goes on his black belt. Looks like he wants to keep that character alive over all of the others, and I don't blame him if his final strategy is to power level that character.
Got it. Yeah, gold bracelet is a very nice pickup this early in the game. It's one of the more valuable pieces of armor you'll be able to find. It's universally equipable. Just an awfully nice pickup. It'll save you a little money too. Money is not a huge consideration in this round of the randomizer, but anytime you don't have to spend 65,000 gold to pick up a piece of armor, it's just something else you can do with the money.
It always seems like those gold bracelets roll really high as far as their cost.
Yeah, for me too.
I mean, it makes sense. They're gold, but...
So Azrael is giving us a sneak peek at the bottom of Marsh Cave. There are 10 chests here in Marsh Cave that are unlocked that you can get to immediately, and another 3 way down at the bottom that are key locked by the Mystic Key. We're probably looking for the TNT here. That's our first progression item. Chance that the crown could be here as well, which opens up some more slots for that TNT to be hiding at. But what we would normally find down here are our friendly wizards. Even in round 1, though, here, what do you think of the Wizard's Edge? Are they a scary consideration?
They can be, depending on if they have a very difficult on attack ability. So if they're wizards with Stone Touch, they could be really nasty. Especially because later in the game, you'll run into them in the Ice Cave and the Marsh Cave, and you can't run from them there either.
So the TNT has been sighted, and it is in Azrael's possession. It was in the room just north of where the wizards live. So TNT found, and we will see what the wizards are hiding today. And then there's a couple more chests that Azrael may look at, but otherwise he has the progression item he was looking for. Opal Armor, a very nice pickup if you have a fighter in your party, because that could eventually be equipped by the knight someday. But nobody has a fighter or a knight in their party today, so that will probably be on the selling block.
And it's still a nice pickup early, even just for the money. The Ice Sword, also a nice pickup for the Red Mage.
The one nice thing about Xelnas' new party that he's running with is that it is pretty equipment averse, to be completely honest. The black belts won't be interested in weapons or armor. The white and black mage only use some rudimentary weapons and light bracelets. Pretty much everything else he finds in these chests are not going to be of interest to him, which means that he's not going to spend that much time menuing around in the weapons and armor.
Yeah, given the items that he's found so far, he's likely to be wondering where the pro rings are located. That would be the next logical armor item to pick up for his entire party.
A nice big pack of Rurus for Azrael. Oh, well, crispy Rurus, that is. And then he's going to head back over to Elfland and probably do a little spell shopping. And then he'll be headed over to visit Narek the Dwarf so he can trade in his TNT.
And 7 Wolf encounter is pretty good to pick up with the experience multiplier set to what it is in this round. I always like, with the flags that we usually race with, I always like taking out encounters that have 6 or more enemies. Seems it's most efficient for experience.
Dark Edge Twitch, your question in chat about whether or not the black belt was forced. No forced party members for this round of the tournament. Just happens that our 2 runners today like black belts a lot and decided to go in that direction. So with the TNT found and Azrael about to trade that into Narek, he will not be able to check the rest of the chests that are locked here in the Dwarf Cave. So he will go ahead and trade that in and get his canal that will release him from the Western Sea. And then the game starts to open up a little bit. In this version, in this round of the randomizer, we have no incentivized dungeons, and so all 3 dungeons are equal, except in the amount of chests that are available. And so the runners could go to Gurgu Volcano, Ice Cave, or Castle or Ordeals. Most likely, though, Edge, I'm pretty sure we'll see the runners head straight to the volcano first.
I think that's the right play with the number of chests that are available in the volcano. It exceeds anything else that's accessible at this point in the game. So volcano first usually is a good play.
Time to take a peek at the magic shop here in Melmond. On the white magic side, we see a whole host of really nice spells. Looks like Fade is available, that being the powerful physical magic spell for the white magic users. Also Cure 4. And on the black magic side, we see Warp. And does not look, however, like Warp is going to be learnable by that red mage.
It might be in the correct slot for that. Yeah,
mm-hmm. It is. He just doesn't have the money, maybe?
Yeah, so that's why he went and cashed out the opal armor. Meanwhile, Xelnas' progress was slowing to a crawl for a second there, but we're back now.
But Jane. So I see a little bit of chatter about the tournament structure in chat. The first and second and third and fourth rounds of the tournament are both for the winners bracket and what we call the Garland bracket, because the participants in that bracket have been knocked down from the winners bracket. They will generally progress in lockstep, though. And so as the flags get progressively harder in the winners bracket, that will match in the Garland bracket as well. The appropriately named PEDs, we call them EXPEDs or XPEDs on Azrael's screen because they're pretty welcome to find at this point in the randomizer because they give a good deal of experience and they hit kind of hard but are relatively easy to take down.
Looks like this is going to be a little rough without access to Fade right now. I might have been tempted to go for an early Bane, but it looks like the double lit 3 is going to clear everything out. And that is a giant pile of experience. It's about 2 Agamas worth.
For those of you who might be watching the Final Fantasy Randomizer for the first time or just a few times, we tend to talk about experience in Agamas. Agamas are the little sort of fire iguana creature that lives in Gurgu Volcano and also at the end of the game that people tend to grind for experience. So much so that we talk about half an Agama, 2 Agamas worth of experience, and so on and so forth. That's sort of our unit of measurement for experience in the game.
Electing to run from this pack of EXPs, and I think I would have just taken that and gone back to town again.
So we're headed into Gurgu Volcano, which is the first Fiend dungeon in this Final Fantasy Randomizer. Edge, do you want to give us a little bit of the lay of the land as to what our runners will be looking for and what is most dangerous to them in this volcano?
Most dangerous to them in this volcano are the enemies on the top floor with powerful abilities. So the Argoyles with Fire 2, the Paralisks with instant death attacks. A little less dangerous, but still annoying, are the Cerebuses with Scorch. What they're looking for is equipment to get them started for the rest of the game, and perhaps a progression item or 2. What people most commonly are looking for as far as progression items is the floater. that will allow them to get the airship and really open up the game. Other option might be the Ruby. That would indicate that Earth Cave would be a good next play. But all in all, you're really looking for good equipment since you have not opened very many chests to this point in the game.
And here come a whole bunch of those chests now up here at the upper floors of the volcano. Saw a dragon sword, saw a copper bracelet, but I believe they have silver already, so that's not an enormous pickup. Dragon sword will probably also not be terribly interesting to either party at this point. The red mage already has an ice sword, and we'll be perfectly happy with that. Bane sword, if you want to double down on your Bane strats for later, and it does look like Azrael's going to keep an eye on that. Looks like he equipped that dragon sword on the black belt. Oh no, he put it on the thief. Okay, maybe his thief is going to stick around for a little bit this game.
The dragon sword and rune sword and one other coral sword, I believe, are the best items for the thief to have, provided you haven't found the Mazmune yet.
The trade-off here, Edge, that I guess we can discuss a little bit because Azrael is using an interesting party configuration for us to watch. Since Azrael has the tail, he has a decision to make as to whether or not he wants to class change. I know that the black belt would probably prefer to just remain a black belt, but by class changing, that thief could conceivably become a ninja. What do you think? What do you think of that? Do you think it might be reasonable to class change?
I think it's reasonable, especially with the red mage in the party as well. And if Azrael decides to power level, then it's absolutely the right move because all of the magic defense that you accumulate by leveling is not lost when you class change. It's just the future growth from that point on. So if you've already invested 30 or 40 levels into your black belt, you might as well just class change.
Okay, I don't think I knew that. So a black belt's magic defense leveling. So if you do the leveling before the class change, it's just the future growth that is under the new formula.
Yep, you don't get penalized for the growth that you've already had.
And I see more chatter about black belts in our chat room. If you have any questions, Edgeworth is a great resource to answer questions about the game, and I can hazard my way through a few of the easier ones for you. But to answer the chatter that I'm seeing, nope, it's just Black Belt Appreciation Day today, and we have 3 of them running, and it's apparently also Thief Appreciation Day since they're a rather rare pick, but it seems to be paying off for Azrael so far.
Oh, we found the crown.
The crown in it's one of those standalone locations way up in the upper right-hand corner that I see people skip every once in a while. Interesting placement. Boy, after you're done here with the Volcano Edge, would you go crown shopping?
I think I would finish clearing out the volcano first, proceed with my grind, and then if I didn't find anything, I would go crown shopping. Well, it's a very interesting decision. You could also do Ice Cave and pick up just as many chests.
Are you an adherent to the idea that the game sort of prompts you with your next decision? If you find, for example, the ruby in the volcano, do you feel like it's pointing you towards Earth? Or if you find the crown here, do you feel that way, or is it more situational?
It's more situational. So for the example with the ruby, I would feel like Earth Cave would be a good next step because the ruby opens up about 12 extra chests that you can access. That makes it better than any of the other dungeons that you might have available at that time. But with the crown I think is more of a a judgment call because it's significantly slower to do it by ship, but the chests are also much easier to get to than ones in a dungeon. So there's kind of the efficiency trade-off there.
Got it. Azrael finishing up his treasure hunting on the top of the volcano. He warps back out. I did notice that the fires were giving him a bit of issue. It looks like the fires are hitting pretty hard there up top. So we'll have to keep an eye on his rather still low-leveled black belt and thief. Question from chat and from Tristal. Hello to our friend and Circle of Sage member Tristal in chat, asking Edgeworth, you have a pick for most overrated and most underrated piece of equipment in the game?
That's wow, that's an interesting question. Give me a little bit of time to think about that.
We'll let him percolate on that, and meanwhile, I'll explain why Azrael is running on the lava, which would seem to be counterproductive. Running on the lava doesn't advance your step counter, and if you can count your steps, or even if you just don't want to have any encounters, it's better to just run across that lava and take the 1 point per step, 1 hit point per step damage, and then just heal when you get back down to the bottom.
Azrael carefully menuing through his Cure 2 spell, because Exit is on the same level. No one wants to do the dreaded accidental exit.
We have seen it multiple times in this tournament so far, sometimes complete with table flips. Me out, I saw you in chat. Hello to you this evening in Roo. Me out, the Lord of the table flips, is with us this evening. Azrael starting to check up some chests here, and, well, would you look at that? There's our next progression item. The floater has been found on AzraelRavenHeart's side.
So with the floater and crown, I would definitely clear out the crown chests after getting the airship. There are a lot of chests that require less effort than checking chests in a dungeon. You have Cardia Islands, Titan's Cave, and all of the crown lock chests, so that might be a good strategy next, just to see if you can maybe pick up the slab in any of those locations.
And for those of you following along, that means that the slab is the last progression item that we will be looking for in a chest in the game, in one of the randomized chests. There are other progression items that the characters still need to collect, but we know where all of their locations are, so that'll be a relatively simple thing for them to go ahead and do. The slab, however, is that last progression item in one of these chests that our characters are going to look for. Ed, you want to explain what the setup is that AzraelRavenHeart's doing here on his side?
So he's going to pick a fight with the Agama, and the Agama, with one cast of heat, has thinned out the party significantly. The setup is to kill off all of the other characters and just have the single character fight the Agama and get all of the experience. And with one character alive, that single character receives a ridiculous amount of experience thanks to the EXP boost. And you'll see right now, 12,860 experience for one fight, which is fairly easy. I don't think I would have taken this fight, though.
I think I would have. I think I would have healed first. This is quite dangerous.
Yeah. So this is a wipe.
Well, Azrael, giving back a little bit of time there then on the lead that he had, picked a fight with an Agama at 136 hit points. But he does know where his progression item is that he needs to go back and pick up. And then we will see how much time he has lost to this.
So I think to answer Tristle's question, I may say that the dragon armor is overrated just because it requires the tail to use, and if you have a ribbon, it doesn't really confer any additional benefits on top of that. When I find a dragon armor early, most often I just sell it for the money, even if I have a fighter in my party. And for underrated, I would say the silver bracelets. If you can get them early and get them cheap, they can last you quite a long time in the game. And now Xelnas has picked up the crown. And Azrael gets the floater back.
So he's back to the room where he wiped previously, and so we will see him possibly attempt to do this again. And well, looks like now he's healing up all of his party members, and so he may be taking a different approach here.
What I generally like to do when setting up this grind is to keep the white mage alive as the last party member, so I don't use as many heal potions as I normally would. That is generally a better strategy when you have access to something that casts magic. Oh, and it looks like the Agamas have stone touch.
It's an interesting wrinkle here. We didn't see that in this initial attack. I think that changes the calculus.
That might actually make the grind safer. The ribbon should protect the black belt, and with the rest of the party petrified, you can unpetrify them after the fight is over. I don't know if he has very many soft potions, though.
Is it possible to stone touch through a ribbon?
That I'm not entirely sure of. I don't know if it works similar to like getting Bane through a ribbon.
Xelnas Azrael opting to go ahead and reset out of that encounter setup again. So he will have to go find his floater again for the third time. So Xelnas slowly but surely reeling AzraelRavenHeart in here.
And meanwhile, we've got a mouse on the screen for Xelnas.
Pretty close to a high five situation here. Our runners have almost pulled even with each other. Azrael has slightly more information from a chest perspective, and he knows what the Agamas are capable of. So a negligible lead, but a real one yet for him.
Yeah, to follow up to Tristle's comment, the dragon armor is very nice because it gives you protection to fire, lightning, and ice elemental spells. But typically in the Temple of Fiends Revisited, what I am most scared of are not the damaging spells, but the damaging spells that go through ribbon, like Nuke, and the skills that go through ribbon, like Swirl and Tornado, and the instant death effects. And those are all under elements other than fire, lightning, or ice, I believe. Picking a fight with the red giant, and it's not advisable. Those guys hit pretty hard.
Meanwhile, Azrael has decided he's had enough of the volcano entirely and is going to go visit our first fiend of the game, Carrie. He is sitting at level 12. I will be very interested to see how this fight goes for him.
This might be a difficult fight if the one fade charge that he has rolls low. Carrie has elemental, or has resistance to fire, lightning, and ice. So all of the spells that he has available aren't going to be doing very much damage, and it looks like he's going to try some Bane strats.
He gets the fast off, which will help to beef up the black belt's amount of hits per attempt, but he only had 2 hits for 26 damage here, and so he's going to need to pile this on for a few turns in order to get through this fiend.
And down goes the red mage. Xelnas, meanwhile, picks up the floater. So a little bit of a rough time in the volcano. Looks like it's going to give Xelnas some time to catch up.
7 hits for 7 damage on that attempt. Oh man, he just got hit really hard.
Yeah, Cure 4 being in the Fade slot means that the healing is going to come fairly slow.
Those Invis 2 casts doing their work there. Carrie targeted the black belt and missed, so he got away with one there. But unfortunately, he did not get away with 2. And so Azrael is going to go ahead and reset out again and consider his plan of attack here again.
I think another option for Azrael at this point may be, if he's not planning on doing the grind, to get the floater and then just exit out and try to open up all of those freely available chests. The equipment that he finds in there may make the rest of the game for him much easier.
Okay. Xelnas starting to work on the Agamas a little bit himself. We'll see what sort of a strategy he decides to employ. Azrael, from a mental standpoint, Edgeworth, he's wiped 3 times. He has to feel like he's behind at this point. It's just not a good feeling to watch 3 different attempts, sort of go awry on him. Xelnas, on the other hand, he's reset once and probably also doesn't think that he's ahead at this point. The functional result really is that both players are actually still quite close to each other, but we might see some chances being taken. Like we're watching Azrael just leave the volcano entirely now.
Yep, and he's got the crown and the floater, so we will see what are in those crown chests shortly, I believe. Looks like Xelnas electing to remove the petrification from the white mage, and I don't like that move. But maybe he feels like the black belts aren't doing enough damage to take out the Agama in one turn.
Yeah, I think it feels like a conservative play. I know that I myself would feel a little bit leery of leaving 2 black belts out there just to level on their own without the support of the white mage. But from what we know, the Agamas, aside from the Stone Touch, are not going to be that frightening. We have to assume that he has the 1 ribbon, but he doesn't have 2. Well, we get some more information, though. because Azrael is left, we're going to go ahead and take a peek at all of these extra chests that we can look at.
It looks like Xelnas might be in a little trouble here if he doesn't get the first move. And he's going for it, and he got it. Level 17, but he is running very low on heal potions right now. And he's out of soft potions.
So that means that he'll only be able to protect the one party character that has the ribbon on it. So we'll decide which one he picks there. And then, but yeah, the heal potions are going to be the major limiting factor as to how high he can level here.
Looks like nothing exciting in the Cardia Islands, so time to show Astos the crown.
In an incredible plot twist, it was Astos all along, everyone.
I didn't see this coming. Two Wiz Ogres, and I wonder if that is the unrunnable fight. Xelnas electing to take no chances on that.
We're getting down now to where the Red Dragon lives, and the Red Dragon in these round one seeds is a vanilla Red Dragon, which means it knows Blaze, and Xelnas is going to have to treat that with a lot of respect.
Also hits very hard, too. I would say hard enough to take out that black belt in the middle slot. Blaze is definitely the thing to be scared about.
See the Red Dragon doing its work there. Oh, and that was a low roll. So we're going to get a second round here.
Short by 38 damage. It was certainly worth checking that cave out, though. It had the power gauntlet.
Yep, that is that's an enormous pickup and a really timely one for Xelnas to find as he's about to go into a carry fight with the White Mage and two black belts that are a little bit leveled up, but probably not to the point where you would feel comfortable. So that power gauntlet's a huge help.
And I think that if Azrael had that power gauntlet, he might have had a real shot at taking carry out.
With the Mystic Key acquired, Azrael is starting to check chests now, opting to go back into Northwest Castle. Let's check on these three. A whole lot of money and a Zeus Gauntlet, which will become useful for when he goes into the Sea Shrine with a cast of Lit 2.
Yeah, that'll be incredibly useful for thinning out that Wiz Sahag, Red Sahag fight. Especially put it on the Thief, and he can become a contributor.
So Xelnas is out of heal pots. He cannot fully heal up for this fight. He's got three characters hovering at around 200 and a little bit higher, a little bit lower. There went the first black belt.
Oh, two characters now.
This is going to be a tough one.
Oh, 194. And he didn't pick up Cure 4, so he just has to hope that the White Mage gets targeted. Fire 2 with 3 health.
Wow, okay. So Carrie is still holding serve here, but Xelnas has a chance. get another round yet.
Well, we have dark hitting when Xelnas is at a low enough level where it actually might matter. And there's fire too. That's gonna do it. I don't
Oh boy,
think
yeah.
the white mage waving at Carrie is gonna do enough damage. Meanwhile, in the Temple of Fiends Revisited, Azrael finds the black shirt and not much else to write home about, but that black shirt will definitely help him if he decides to go do a volcano grind.
And Xelnas has also met his match with Carrie. Carrie now has thwarted our runners once each side. But Xelnas is going to go ahead and head back in and make another attempt at this. Or at the very least, he's going to go grab that floater. And I am not sure, maybe chat, you can tell me whether or not Xelnas came back out and picked that crown up, or whether or not he has to go get that again.
It looks like we'll get a Titan's Cave check now from Azrael.
Chat noting that Azrael has found his second ribbon now.
Xelnas finding a pro ring and a bunch of money. Or excuse me, Azrael. That pro ring will be nice to have.
So after we're done with all of these checks, Edgeworth, if you're in this situation, as Azrael goes into Sarda's cave to grab the rod, where would your next target be as far as a dungeon or a place where you're going to try to go find some levels and make a little bit more progression here? The volcano is proving to be a little difficult.
If we're excluding the volcano, then I think it might be different for both characters. Looking at the lineup that Xelnas has, I think I might go with the Sea Shrine. The Gray Sharks are also pretty good to level on. And it looks like Azrael's elected to go to the ice cave and maybe just level.
You probably take a few encounters here and grab some levels for his characters. But it'll be an open question to see whether or not he wants to dive in here a little deeper. Let's see, round one seeds. There are a few encounters in here, Edge, that could be quite frightening to a low-level party like this. I know the mages are hiding out there, and they have awful spells for a low-level party like this.
Yeah, mages that like to ambush with Rub and then follow up with Lit 3, and that can be very deadly for a party that's low level. I actually don't mind this move, though, sticking around on the top floor. The wizard encounters are not very lucrative, but the mummy encounters with large AoE spells, those can give you a fair amount of experience when you are lower level.
Xelnas is back to take another attempt at Carrie. He has 4 alive characters this time, and it looks like he's going to have enough heal pots to at least have everybody standing up. I do not believe that he has that power gauntlet, though. I don't believe he went back and picked that up. So he's going to forego that and just try to take the fiend out.
So we'll see if this works. Fast going off on the first character is good. Down goes the white mage before the Invis 2 can come out. So
wow, tough break.
Yeah, I think this might have to chalk this one up as a loss unless Carrie starts dipping into the spell list. Yeah, just doing the old Kraken 2 strategy and shotgunning down your party one at a time. So as far as first floor ice cave as a grind spot, it's something that I've only ever used once in a race, and it was because all of my early magic was fire elemental, and that doesn't play nice in the volcano.
It's definitely a reasonable idea, especially as we watch Azrael take down 7 wizards. That's going to be a nice boon for his party, assuming everybody gets through it.
Yeah, and I think that may be a good play if you have a similar magic situation and you have access to either the floater or ice cave is incentivized. Something to consider.
And for chat that's watching, you have to remember that neither of our runners know what the other runner picked for characters, and so they don't know that these party compositions are so black belt heavy, and paired with white and black and red mages on either side. If these party compositions were different, they both have to feel terrified that they're way behind at this point, when the case is they're actually very close to each other as far as progression.
And it looks like Xelnas is going to do the same thing, grab the floater and leave the volcano. This is also a great formation for Azrael to see, with the light axe and access to harm 4.
So we may see, after Xelnas picks up all of the chests that AzraelRavenHeart did, we may see Xelnas come to this same conclusion and come to the same place with the light axe available, and a black mage that can toss out fire spells. We may see both of our parties here in Ice Cave.
A question in chat: what's the max that Carrie's attack stat could have been raised? 120% is as high as it can go for round 1 flags.
And a greeting to Len the cat, who was in IRC watching this race be picked up. Len, if you want to do a race, I'm sure there'll be one a little bit later this evening. We'd be happy to have you with us if you would like to start learning how to run the randomizer.
Yeah, and that goes for anyone watching. If you're interested in running the randomizer, please join the Discord and ask around. We have a very friendly community, and we'd love to teach new players.
Looks like Azrael is looking to make some progress now. He feels a little bit more comfortable to go deeper into here. Pro Cape is a nice pickup. Pro Cape is one of those items I'm always quite happy to see. It acts as a shield for your character, and can be worn by pretty much everybody in the game. Provides 8 points of absorb at only a 2-point hit to your evade, and is especially nice for your mages to beef up their defenses a little bit.
Yeah, if you can get a white mage set up with an opal bracelet, a pro ring, and a ribbon and a pro cape, they are pretty formidable as far as tankiness goes.
AzraelRavenHeart, now down here in the lower levels of the ice cave, has to be concerned about this encounter here. Frost dragons will tear his party apart with Blizzard. Mages are also down here, and will also not be fun to encounter.
And it looks like Xelnas is going to class change his party while he is in the area. I'm not a big fan of this move for the reasons we described earlier. This will slow the magic defense growth of both of the both of the black belt characters.
On the other hand, with the airship and access to white wizards and black wizards, he's going to have the ability to pick up a full complement of spells. He's banking, essentially, that he's going to be able to pick up all of those attack spells and defensive buff spells that are going to help his party composition get through these challenges like Carrie faced him.
Finds the dragon armor, and I think for both of the party compositions, the promotion would be significantly better if they had a fighter, especially given the amount of really nice equipment that they've found so far.
Meanwhile, down on Azrael's side, he skates through a Frost Wolf encounter, Frost Rurus. They got a couple charges of frost off, and so his party's health was dropping pretty significantly there. But the Red Mage came through with a timely blast of Fire 3 to go ahead and end that encounter. But he's running a little low on health, and so it's time to start having that thief do his job and start running from some of these encounters.
Meanwhile, I was kind of hoping that Xelnas would zap Astos, but it looks like it's not to be. But it's Xelnas' turn to go through all of the crown chests now.
Azrael running for his life here through the rest of the ice cave to try to get through as much of this as possible before a possible exit out, and he runs into an unrunnable 7 wizard encounter. This was welcome earlier, not so much now.
Yeah, seem like those skeletons had a real bone to pick with him.
B-. B-.
And we have the thief hitting the deck.
Really need to keep that Red Mage alive and letting these Lit 3 charges go.
So it looks like he'll survive this one, but he's definitely hoping to see upcoming encounters feature more ghosts.
And he's got to be thinking hard here. He has 1 exit charge left. He's got to be thinking about, okay, how much farther can I get into and through this dungeon before I pop that exit spell and get the heck out of here?
I'm curious to see if he'll do a little leveling fighting the eye. In vanilla, in round 1 flags, the eye is a little nastier, but if the lead character has over 300 HP, then the instant death spell won't trigger.
Where do you keep the ribbon at this point, Edge? If you're going to grind in this situation, do you put that ribbon on the white mage so that you can get out, or do you keep it on the, there went the red mage, or do you keep it on the black belt so that you can level and hope that you can get through the cave again?
I think in this situation, I would put it on the white mage. But I would also make sure to have a couple of fade charges available on the white mage in case things go wrong.
I think if chat was steering us correctly, he may have 2 ribbons at this point, which will be puts it in a completely different situation. Now both characters are protected. But if, for example, Xelnas wants to do the same thing, he only knows of 1 ribbon so far, and we'll have to make that decision.
Yeah, so it looks like he's going to pair level at this point, and that's a very safe move.
So as we watch the eye grind here a little bit, and Xelnas working on opening some chests, if there's any questions in chat that we can answer, we'll be happy to do so.
Yeah, and I'm glad that Azrael found the eye to grind on. That is one of the better backup spots if Agamas are not working out for you. The eye definitely has better experience than the Agamas, but the tricky part comes in leaving the ice cave. There isn't a convenient punch carry and then warp out option like there is in the volcano.
Well, and I'm not quite sure what happened there. I don't know if that hit through the ribbon, or if he just opted to let the white mage go. But now we have a black belt on his own here in the here in the ice cave, and he's going to have to walk on out of here.
So if he's planning on doing the long walk, then I would definitely level this character up to about 40 or so. If 40 is about when the wizards start running away reliably.
Okay.
And that's very important because the 7 wizard unrunnable encounter, when you can only kill them one at a time, is very, very rough to deal with. That being said, he has the Zeus Gauntlet in his inventory, so a couple of casts would thin out that entire party. But in other situations, when you may only have, say, a black shirt or a mage staff, it would definitely be more hazardous.
He's already up to level 26, and so the progress is going through pretty quickly. And can you explain a little bit then about the benefits that you get from a high-level black belt later on in the game?
The benefits are that as you run through some of the lower level dungeons, like the Earth Cave, for example, enemies will start running away from you. And every time they run away from you, that saves you time. The animation time for running away is shorter than the animation time for an attack and then the damage display afterwards. And that especially becomes beneficial when unrunnable encounters start running away from you. Question in chat, how did 4X fail at 264 HP? The black belt has a ribbon on, which is protection against death elemental, amongst other things.
And for those of you that just might be joining us in progress here, this has been an interesting round one to kind of watch. Both runners, both Xelnas and AzraelRavenHeart, went with black belts as their main physical attackers. Xelnas picking up 2 of them. And the volcano has proven to be unfriendly to this party composition. Carrie has 3 party wipes to her name so far, and both Xelnas and AzraelRavenHeart decided to leave. So that's why you see Xelnas now in Earth Cave, and Azrael is in Ice Cave, and nobody has any orbs lit yet.
Meanwhile, we have found the 3rd ribbon, and it is in the top of Earth Cave. So Light Warriors will be very well protected, although I'm not sure I like that drop of the Zeus Gauntlet I saw on Xelnas' side. Looks like he may have went a little overboard with the spring cleaning. Question in chat, what's the issue with the high-level black belts and their defensive stance changing with menuing? So there's a bug in the vanilla version of the game and it is not fixed in the randomizer, that when an unarmed black belt levels up, the armor value for the black belt is set equal to their level. The benefit of this is if you have a black belt equipped with just a ribbon, their defense would be equal to 1. But as soon as they level up, their defense would be equal to their level. So you could have a black belt with 40 defense that has just a ribbon equipped after your grind is finished. The downside is as soon as you enter the armor menu, that value is fixed. So if you have, say, a level 50 black belt, you would have to, since you can't level any further than that, you would be stuck with putting armor on the black belt to get that value back up.
And so we're watching both of our runners probably in a mental headspace of thinking that they are both behind because they do not know what their opponent has selected for party characters, and because both of them have wiped in the volcano multiple times. We're watching our two runners here run this round one perhaps differently than you've seen some other people run these round one seeds. And that's a combination of, the party composition that they had and the fact that they both probably feel like they're way behind at this point. And so they're both taking risks.
Meanwhile, we have a katana found for Xelnas. Not very useful for him, but definitely will be useful for Azrael if he is not in go mode by the time he hits Earth Cave. And speaking of go mode, looks like Azrael has had enough and is on his way out. I did not see how many heal potions he has, though. He is getting a little low in the health department.
So he's going to make the run for glory here and see if he can get out of this dungeon. He's got 333 hit points. A wizard encounter is going to be super frightening for him at this point.
Yeah, especially, there's a Wraith that just hit him for 100. Please heal up to max. And it looks like he's going to try to conserve those potions, and I get what he's trying to do, but I think you just have to play it safe.
And he gets out safely and into his airship, and he's going to sail the heck away with his hard-fought experience that he's picked up with this party. And so Azrael has it's almost as good as lighting an orb. Everyone, he has a power-leveled black belt at his disposal now.
Yeah, now Azrael is comfortably in the driver's seat.
In contrast, Xelnas is working his way through the Earth Cave, and while he does not have the levels that Azrael has gained at this point, he does now have the advantage in starting to clear out dungeons. We will see. We are, again, for those of you joining us, we are one slab away from go mode. And if Xelnas finds that Xelnas has the advantage in information and can finish this seed at his leisure.
Meanwhile, it looks like Azrael is gonna pay Carrie another visit. See things go a little differently this time.
He has a supercharged up black belt to get through the volcano here, but there are a few encounters here that we are considering that might be a challenge for him. He needs to be careful here. And we'll see if carry is a little easier for him this time, now with a hyper-level black belt. Yep, 8 hits for 819 damage, and the first fiend has fallen this game.
Yep, and there is the first Falcon Punch for Azrael. Question in chat, Lava does how much HP damage per step? It is 1 damage per step.
And it looks like Edgeworth, if I'm looking at what's going on here in IRC, it looks like we just may have had a forfeit from the race.
Well, that's unfortunate. Hope everything's all right on Xelnas' side, but it looks like he is done right now.
So I'm sorry for everybody that's watching this evening, but it looks like we've lost one of our competitors, and we'll see what happens here. Looks like Azrael's going to go ahead and continue and give us a demonstration here. So if you could all give a GG to Xelnas in the chat for giving it an attempt, that would be super cool, gang. Meanwhile, it looks like Azrael's going to continue for us a bit.
It looks like he is not going to crack open any chests on the way through this, but he is going to say hello to the party bats.
And thanks everyone for the GGs in chat. That's super awesome. Looks like Azrael is going to go ahead and continue running for all of you viewers, and so maybe we'll do maybe we'll have some touring of the unseen parts of the game, maybe.
Well, as long as we don't have any Tyro deaths, I'm fine with that.
So this is also a good time to say hello to the vampire, everyone, and say goodbye to the vampire. That was quick.
No one can defeat the vampire.
So, Chad, if you have any questions for us, feel free to answer those or ask those here in chat, and we'll have a little Q&A session with you.
Meanwhile, we have Azrael checking the validation chest behind the vampire. Files and I have arguments about this all the time. I insist that's the validation chest, but he believes it's the ones behind the phantom.
It's the validation chest for the vampire.
And looks like Azrael remembered he still needs the slab, so he's going to crack open some chests on this one.
Demands in chat for Edgeworth to start running to see whether or not he can catch AzraelRavenHeart.
It's I don't know, that might be interesting, but I think with the power level black belt already out there, I would be starting too far behind.
So the single black belt continues his sprint through the Earth Cave. We're still one slab away from go mode, so we'll see if we can find that.
Oh, in the hero run from Captain Falcon.
Gotta love it.
The 1 in 10 chance goes first, pulls off the run.
So Edgeworth, with a single black belt strat that Azrael's running for us at this point, what sort of encounters does he have to be worried about as he clears out this dungeon and other dungeons coming into the future?
The formations that he has to worry about are the large unrunnables, like the 7 wizards in the Ice Cave, Wiz-Sahag, Red Sahag, and ghosts in Sea Shrine. I don't think there are many difficult unrunnables in Floating Castle, but the Mancat Medusas with their casts of Fire 2 could be a little frightening. And of course on the water floor, the dreaded 6 or 7 water encounters. I personally don't like the single black belt strategy, but I am kind of more of a conservative player, and it's definitely safer to have the mages alive with you while you're running through the dungeon, but it's you do add extra time in your combats with the extra inputs that you have to give, and then the extra actions that may or may not fail.
You see the positive benefits of a high-level black belt there is all of the arachnids run away in terror.
Yeah, and this is exactly why you do the black belt level, is for fights like that where you get a really nasty ambush and then they all run away from you. For example, on that Asp fight, I think if they all hit instead of running, that would have added at least another 5 seconds to the fight. And you just add that up over all of the encounters that you're going to get through the course of the Earth Cave.
So, no slab to be found here in Earth Cave. Chat, do you have any suggestions about where you would like Azrael to go next?
Resets, instead of taking the katana, and it looks like he's not going to go any deeper into the Earth Cave, so if the slab is on the 2nd or 3rd floor, he may have to make a return trip.
So it looks like Azrael's going to be a completionist and head back to the Earth Cave. So it looks like we'll see the rest of those chests there.
And it looks like he picked up the rest of the party members so that he could warp or exit out if he found anything good.
Okay, that makes good sense. The arachnids there fleeing in terror, perhaps because there was a thief in the party and they have no idea what to do in that situation.
It looks like even though he elected not to keep the katana on the first floor, there's one on the second floor. So you're stuck with it, buddy.
Len the Cat, that's a good question you have in chat. So if you have the required items, what are the non-required items like ribbons that you should find to do the Temple of Fiends? The answer to that varies depending what's going on in your party. Ribbons are obviously a very nice pickup to find. From a defensive standpoint, you're going to want to find pro rings, especially at least one pro ring to cover the fourth party member that doesn't have a ribbon on it. The opal bracelet is very useful to find with its high defensive value of 34. And that can go pretty much on anyone. And then you're looking for high-level defensive equipment to protect people. And then depending on what your offensive firepower is like, you're going to want a pretty good sword, ice sword or better, on your main sword wielder. Or you want a hyper-level black belt like this that can punch for comically large amounts of damage. What did I miss, Edge? Anything else you'd like to add?
I think you covered it pretty well. The benefit of the high-powered black belt is that he is not nearly as equipment dependent as, say, a fighter. But if you have both a fighter and a black belt in your party and you pick up, say, the Masmian early or the Adamant and the Tail together early, it may be in your benefit to not go with the power level strategy and just trust in your fighter to get the job done. Certainly can get it done at, say, a level 25. Especially
if you have the proper spells to go ahead and complement a fighter somewhere between the levels of 25 and 30. The game is completely beatable if you have a black mage or a red mage that's able to cast fast or temper. The use of the power gauntlet is also very, very helpful because the power gauntlet casts, is it saber or it casts saber on the wielder?
It casts saber.
Yep, it casts saber on the wielder. That's super useful for your physical fighter as well. Giraffe Me, to answer your question, you're asking if you pick up the Masamune in Temple of Fiends, or if there are great spells in Town 1, are you allowed to reset and pick a new party to start? You are allowed to reset and pick a new party at any time while running a randomizer. Of course, we only usually see people do that right at the beginning of the game. The only thing that you have to adhere to when you're re-rolling a party like that is that if there are any forced party members, you have to keep those forced party members. You can't cycle away from those. But other than that, yeah, sure, all bets are off. You can go ahead and change your other party characters to suit what you found. We saw Xelnas do that this evening. Xelnas had 2 red mages, and then went into the white magic shop and did not like what he saw, and went ahead and changed that around and re-rolled and went with a white mage and a black mage instead.
And now we have the equipment upgrade, or the class upgrade for Azrael, and this is going to be very nice. The ninja is going to receive a significant equipment upgrade. I believe he's got the ice armor and the flame shield together, which will give very good... yeah, that'll be very good elemental coverage for the ninja. And then...
Len the Cat, to answer your question, how much can you stack Saber or Temper? I believe you can stack that as much as you want, but I'm going to throw this one to Edge because I believe there's a limit as to when it's effective, and you actually need to be careful using those spells.
So your attack stat, if you go over 255, it overflows the register and basically rolls over. So if you're at max and then cast Saber, you would basically go from doing 255 damage to doing 15 damage, which is, or having an attack stat of 15. So that would require quite a lot of Saber casts, but it's something to make note of, especially if you have a mage-heavy party that can cast Temper on a target repeatedly.
And the elusive nuke spell has been found here in Gaia, sitting at level 7, which I don't believe is going to be learnable for Azrael's party here.
Heal 3, a nice pickup, though. And nice to see that NPC isn't stuck in the
right
in the narrow hallway like he usually is for me.
Dark Edge, I see your comment there. Triple fast Saber, Temper. Saber and Temper are absolutely go ahead and stack those. But if I recall correctly, I believe fast is only one and done. There's no point to fasting somebody that's already been fasted, so to speak.
That's correct. Fast only increases the hit multiplier by 1. So it effectively doubling the amount of hits its target has, but you can't stack it further than that. However, you can use it to mitigate the effects of slow, and that's good to know. And since slow 2, I believe, is in Chaos's spell list, it's good to keep a couple of extra fasts on hand just in case that comes out and hits your primary damage dealer.
Heading on now into the waterfall, the home of our favorite bat in the game, Out of Bounds Bat, who is the only bat in the game that spawns outside of a walkable area, and so all you can do is just sort of behold his majesty from a distance. He lives down here at the near the treasure chest, so we'll take a peek and see whether or not he wants to come out and play today.
And it looks like now that the ninja has some nice equipment to absorb physical hits, he's taking his spot, rightful spot at the front of the party. The character in the front of the party is actually significant, and we have Out of Bounds Bat. Alright, the run is validated. The character at the front of the party is significant because his stats determine the chance for preemptive strikes or ambushes. And I believe that is calculated as a function of the character's agility and luck combined. So the thief excels in both of those categories, but a power level black belt is also pretty good in both of those categories.
It is nice to see the ninja in pajamas, though, up at the front of the party. It's a kind of a rarer treat for those of us that run Randomizer. I don't see many thieves being run optionally.
And we have the cube picked up. And time to exit out of the waterfall cave.
So it looks like Anrak and the Sea Shrine will be our next stop. Sea Shrine, with a fully complemented party like this, is not going to be too much of a challenge. Azrael wisely decided to pick up the other characters off the mat here and bring them in here because there are some scary encounters.
Yeah, having access to Lit 3 clears out the Wizzsag, Redsag fight, and the ghosts tend to hit very, very hard, and so having someone that can throw Cure 4 or Fire 3 into the mix is very much desirable.
Lots of questions in chat now. I'll take Len the Cats first. I noticed a lot of player changing their party order just prior to Fiends or Chaos. What effects on bosses does it have? The bosses and all enemies will tend to attack the front member of the party or the topmost member of the party more than the ones farther on down the line. And I'll go ahead and drop one of our guides here in the Discord where you can look at those percentages a little more closely. But basically what you're seeing at that point is you're seeing a runner try to protect one of its particular characters by placing them down at the bottom of the party so that they're targeted less with physical attacks.
So generally I believe it's there's a 50% chance for the person in the first slot to get hit, 25% for the second slot, and then the remaining percentage is split up evenly between third and fourth slot. If any of the characters are dead or petrified in that slot, the game will re-roll.
So the guide I just dropped in there is our Final Fantasy randomizer guide with a whole host of information on how to run this randomizer and run it efficiently. And I'm happy to point out that my co-commentator Edgeworth is one of the persons with us tonight that wrote and compiled this guide along with our buddy Files.
That is a fair point from Artea. There is a slight bias towards the third slot getting targeted less often due to just the intricacies of the random number generation.
So Pause82, you asked a couple of questions as well. You asked about how the enemies choose which party member to attack. We've sort of just went over that, how party order affects that. Just did that. And so I don't believe that it's really written into behavior scripts that change from enemy to enemy. I believe they all use that same formula for attacking.
And I think Artea called it the slab being in the key-locked room in the Sea Shrine.
Dark Edge Twitch asking, for one hit, what is the most damage we've ever seen someone do? Boy, I need to think about that. I know I've seen a black belt hit for almost 2,000 damage, but it just wasn't one hit. It was multiple hits and multiple criticals. So the slab find puts AzraelRavenHeart in go mode, and so we will probably see him finish up the Sea Shrine and the other dungeons here pretty quickly. Any outstanding equipment out there, Edge, that you might be looking for if you were in his situation?
Did he find the opal bracelet yet?
don't believe we've seen that yet, no.
With 3 ribbons, he's in pretty good shape. The opal bracelet is the top of the nice to have list, but I think all of the essentials he's already got.
So Azrael's just checking a few chests here along the way, but we probably won't see him stray too far from the path at this point. Kraken 1, probably not going to be too much trouble for a hyper-leveled black belt, but then he comes back again as Kraken 2 down at the bottom of the Temple of Fiends, and that's a different story. Kraken at any level can be a concern. You need to pay attention to and respect his physical prowess at the very least.
I think the only other thing that I might be looking for at this point is a relatively powerful endgame sword, like Mazmian would be ideal, but even the defense sword would be useful as well. And that's just to make the 4 monster or the 4 large monster encounters go through quicker in Temple of Fiends Revisited. So I'm thinking of things like the 4 worm encounters or the 4 gas dragon encounters. Being able to clear those out in 2 rounds is very nice. So you can just have your physical fighters attack different ones and have your mages run. And that way you don't have to sit through the casting animation of the mages. It saves a little bit of time. And time to make some calamari. Oh, geez. 2,319.
That was a big hit. Len, you asked a question about items that use, or items that cast magic spells when used as an item, whether or not they do the same damage or different damage depending on who uses them. Doesn't matter what character is holding those items. They will always roll from the same damage table. Here comes our favorite NPC, Dr. Un, who screams, "A slab."
I mean, everybody's heard of this guy.
Well, he's super famous, you know. That Cure 4 and Fade pickup now. Extra nice. I wonder if there's any black magic spells that the ninja might learn here.
Not in Melman, but in other towns. So anything from the beginning of the game is fair game.
Azrael giving the bottom of the airship a little wash by dunking it in the lake. Now heading over into the magic shops and has found the Life 2 spell to his liking. He's really boning up on these spells that are going to be useful now here later in the game.
Yeah, and that's going to make Temple of Fiends Revisited very, very safe, with 2 mages having access to life and 3 ribbons. This seems like it will be pretty straightforward, but Temple of Fiends can be anything but straightforward at times.
So while we're watching Azrael go ahead and run through the woods here to to pick up his chime. This is a great opportunity, if you haven't done so already, to give a follow to these runners, and also give a follow to Randomizer Mania if you're not following this channel. They do our friend Game Boy F9 does all sorts of wonderful randomizer showcases on this channel and its sister channel, Randomizer Mania 2. So give it a follow and support our runners and support the platforms that we're using here.
And we have a chime.
And an unrunnable Zombo encounter. I do like this encounter just because I'm fine with taking it and grabbing the experience from them. And then I believe this is Tyro country, if I recall correctly, Edge, right?
Yeah, it sure is. See if our friend stops by and says hello.
And there's one of the majestic Tyros now. Azrael, oh, see?
It's an important message.
Remember, everyone, Tyros are your friends. You have a runner and 2 commentators that are all on Team Tyro. And so if you are on Team Tyro Steak, I don't know what to tell you other than you're a deviant, awful person.
I would say that's a mistake. Even our restreamer is pro Tyro, so. Nice to see that Force Erebus encounter did not lead to an ambush, but unfortunately this one will.
The Force Erebus encounter is not dangerous, so to speak, here in the Mirage Tower, but time consuming. It just takes forever for those 4 Scorch attacks to run all the way through your party.
It certainly can be dangerous in future seeds, though, so that's something to keep an eye on. Round 2 flags especially, because with shuffled AI, they could end up using something nasty like Blaze instead of comparatively mild Scorch.
Dark Edge Twitch asking in chat, what's the odd for Tyro versus T-Rex? I'm not sure about that, but it makes me want to pose a question to Edge that I've been meaning to ask for a while. I know that we're Team Tyro, but when it comes to its blue cousin, the T-Rex, how do you feel about the T-Rex?
Well, the T-Rex just doesn't measure up. He's got to go.
I tend to agree with you. I think it's it's something that eventually, someday, natural selection will work its way out there.
I mean, it already is working out. The Tyro is one of those Group 8 encounters, or the T-Rex rather, is one of those Group 8 encounters. So you only see him. I think it's a 4 out of 256 chance.
Looks like we have a stone ninja on Azrael's screen now. I didn't quite catch what caused that. Probably a Medusa here in Sky Castle.
That's exactly what it was. T-Rex is a bootleg Tyro. I think it's a pretty good description.
So we are on the Bridge of Destiny, everybody, and Warmech only comes out to those chats who ask for him to come out. And so if you want to see Warmech in this seed, it's time to start spamming.
Oh, speaking of rare encounters, we have the two fighters here, and that is an encounter that's rarer to see than Warmech on this bridge.
Double nachos, or double nacho, as I like to say.
Yeah, it looks like he's smart enough to leave the angry Doritos alone. Oh, Captain Falcon eats one of the Doritos. He's gonna have indigestion now.
Quad Red Hydra can also be really frightening in other seeds when the spells and skills are shuffled.
This can be pretty frightening in round 1 seeds. We have the sorcerers with their trance music.
Nope, Ninja got away from that one. And we've made it to the orb. Doesn't look like we're going to see a Warmech today, although there are a few more spaces there before he gets to the exit. Tiamat up. Tiamat's not going to be too much of a concern for a power-leveled black belt like this, although it does know Thunder and follows up with Poison, if I recall correctly.
We got the Bane strats, though. Double ineffective. Round 2. Tiamat's like, you're gonna try to bane me, huh? How do you like poison instead?
How about 10 hits for 1,218 damage, and down goes the last fiend we'll need to light that last orb, and we're heading into the Temple of Fiends Revisited.
So now for those of you who are new to the randomizer, the crown is a required item to finish the game because the Mystic Key locks a door in Temple of Fiends Revisited. So in case you're wondering why everyone was chasing that as one of the 3 major go mode items, now you know.
And that was something that caught me completely by surprise. Even in vanilla Final Fantasy, there is a door just past the Phantom in Temple of Fiends Revisited that is locked by the Mystic Key. In vanilla, you would never know that because you need the Mystic Key to even progress out of the Inner Sea. But by accident or by design, the designers of the game key-locked one of the dungeons, or one of the doors here in the last dungeon. So it's required in our randomizer as well.
I just think it's very interesting for a game that had so many, interesting bugs and sort of implementation quirks that no one has found a major sequence break in this game yet.
Especially since other parts of the game are, if you listen to people who can dive code, I can't. Parts of this game are held together with Scotch tape and praying. Sequence breaks. As far as we know, there haven't been much yet. So if you're watching AzraelRavenHeart run around here and wondering what it is he's doing, he is taking advantage of some of the RNG manipulation strategies that vanilla runners of Final Fantasy use in order to sort of change the encounter table so that when he does dive down into Temple of Fiends Revisited, he's going to get a package of encounters that will be much more friendly to him.
Although the encounters you get normally in Temple of Fiends can be pretty nasty on their own. I mean, Nobody wants to get into a snowball fight with a bunch of frost dragons.
Mm-hmm. Frost dragons, however, are not runnable. I'm sorry, they are runnable, and there are other encounters down here that are unrunnable. For example, the gas dragons that live on this floor and love to terrorize people. Because Azrael did that RNG manipulation strategy earlier, he's not going to see that encounter here.
Yeah, and good riddance to those guys, because not only are they durable, they love casting poison, which does a lot of damage.
So Azrael making quick work so far of the of his RNG manipulated dungeon. I believe he has a worm encounter and another frost dragon encounter on this floor that he needs to deal with, and then he'll be down onto the earth floor. There's 2 blizzards. Let's see if he gets all 4.
Nope. And with 3 ribbons in the ice armor, he might as well be handing out Oreo blizzards at this point.
I would happily take one of those right now. That sounds great.
Yeah, that actually sounds awesome.
And here's an example of Azrael shuffling some party members around to take advantage of this next fight that he's going to go through. Lich is, from a physical standpoint, doesn't have a whole ton of HP and is going to be an easy takedown, save for the fact that he has this little spell called Nuke, which rolls, I think on the high end, edge around 300.
It can go anywhere from 100 to 400, depending on whether the character succeeds on their magic resistance check.
And here comes Lich in the nuke spell. Goodbye to the thief. And goodbye to the red mage as well.
The white mage, meanwhile, good job on resisting that. You get to pick up the rest of the party.
This is where that pickup of the Life 2 spell back in Crescent Lake comes into play, as well as the class change. I don't believe the Red Wizard would have had the ability to learn that spell had AzraelRavenHeart not gone through the class change.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you do the class change for, to make that fight in round 1 safer, but to make all the fights in subsequent rounds of the tournament safer.
And so for those of you that have been watching this tournament throughout its many races, we are beginning to say goodbye to these round 1 strategies. There was this race. I believe there's only a handful more left to do with this flag set. Again, this flag set is meant for people that are perhaps new to the randomizer and want to learn how to run this randomizer while still being familiar with the original vanilla spells and skills of the game. So it's a nice jumping off point. And then once we get into the later rounds, then we start to do things like shuffle up those skills and spells and abilities that the enemies can throw at you, as well as scramble the randomizer table itself, the RNG table.
So we see Azrael skipping another fight. If he would have gone and instead of opening that chest, if he would have gone to the water floor straight away, he would have ran into a pack of waters.
The second version of carry proving to be much easier to handle than the first one was for our runners. running through the water floor now. Of note, usually on this floor are unrunnable water encounters, up to 6 of them. They tend to hit really hard. Because of the manipulation strat, Azrael's going to avoid those, which is super helpful for trying to get through this floor. And then we will see Kraken. Hopefully we'll watch Azrael heal up here. Yes. I wouldn't say that Kraken hits like a truck. I would say that Kraken hits like a freight train down here sometimes.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the folks that you don't want to see with increased strength from the randomizer, just because he hits 8 times. And when you hit that many times for that much power, that's usually it for any character that gets targeted. But not even a turn.
So the last fiend down here is Tiamat. Tiamat does have some nasty spells that you need to pay attention to, especially if you don't have all of the ribbons that you're looking for. You need to do a little bit of dancing around with the wall spell and be a little bit creative about who you're going to protect. But this should not be too much of an issue for Azrael's party.
And once again, goes first. That's all you needed.
And that will be the last random encounter of the game. And so Azrael, now down on the bottom, opens the door to find Garland, except it looks like he's been at the gym and has something horrible growing out of his stomach as chaos. Even in this round 1 seed, what do you need to pay attention to, Edge, when you're fighting chaos here?
If you've successfully power level to black belt, there's not much that you need to worry about. Not when you do 20 hits for 2,465.
And we're done, everyone. GG to AzraelRavenHeart for a pretty nice demonstration there. He says he's going to come in for a post-match interview here shortly.
GG to Azrael. But to finish your question, in the round 1 flags, if you do not have a power level character, you're looking to see when exactly is the right moment to start piling damage onto Chaos. If he goes into a spell list early, that means Cure 4 will be coming up soon, and you may want to start casting buffs rather than attacking and just wasting all of that damage when he casts it. But as soon as he casts Cure 4, that's the sign to just start piling on the hits, the nukes, the fades, whatever you've got. But for power level black belt, just cast fast.
Right, just hit him.
Yeah.
So Azrael will be on his way shortly. Chad, if you have any questions for AzraelRavenHeart as you watch this seed, let us know and throw those in the chat so that we can ask him. So with that win in the Garland bracket, Azrael advances. He will meet our good buddy Manasi 85 in a round 2 matchup to be scheduled here in a little bit. If you want to know about the tournament and how it's progressing, go ahead and throw that link in the chat, and you can take a look to see where we are in progression. I see him in the waiting room, so I'm going to go ahead and drag him over now. And we are joined in the commentary room by our buddy AzraelRavenHeart. GG to you, sir.
GG.
Oh, Azrael.
Can't
hear myself.
Hear
Lovely. And we are joined in the commentary room by our buddy AzraelRavenHeart. GG to you, sir. Is that how I sound? Oh, Azrael.
Yep. GG. Thank you. Yeah. What a seed that was.
how did you feel after the volcano erupted?
Honestly, I was almost about to really prematurely forfeit after the, what, 3 failed dives before I just took the floater and ran.
Sorry about that. Sounds like we're getting a little bit of echo, so we'll try to get that straightened out.
So we're going to go ahead and let him fix that here real quick, and we'll start again. And welcome back.
Okay, alright. Usually whoever's restreaming mutes the stream, but
Okay. Sorry about that.
that's all good. Yeah, so I almost prematurely GG'd and forfeit after the, like, however many failed attempts I had at Volcano before I just took the floater and was like, alright, this is enough for now. Bye. I'll be back later with an overleveled black belt.
So tell me a little bit about your party composition thoughts, and what your goals were. So you ran with a black belt and some mages.
Well, pretty much the black belt obviously is just, it's round 1 and 2 flags. There's no reason to not have a black belt as your damage dealer. Past that, you can actually entertain the option of maybe not running a black belt because weapon fix does significantly hurt black belts. The thief lived up to his name. His name is Brave Sarabin, and he bravely runs away. So that's all he was there for. And the red mage lived up to his name too because he wanted to nuke everything and he just couldn't learn it.
So tell me a little bit about your mental state after you challenged the volcano a couple of times and didn't go terribly well. And then you peace out and you head elsewhere. You have to think. I guess you have to feel like you're behind at that point.
Yeah, I 100% felt. Well, I felt like I was behind because of how many times I tried. After the first one, I thought maybe, like, oh, I didn't open up my armor screen, so if the black belt leveled, he actually didn't have the gold bracer defense like he should have, and maybe I could have gotten through the grind. So I went back the second time, and that's when I was introduced to the Agamas having stone touch, and just that immediately was like, oh, yeah, this is real bad. And then they felt like they hit way harder, so probably max strength roll on them. So after that first Agama the second time, I was just like, all right, softs, and we're going to go attempt to fight carry. And then everything went south on turn 1 for carries, and my black belt just didn't have any actual damage output. And after that, I was like, all right, I'm doing what I should have done 15 minutes ago. We're grabbing the floater. I'll go turn in the crown. I'll get all my free chests at the islands and all the crown or all the keylock chests except for Marsh Cave. And to be fair, as I was starting to check the key chests, I really thought about going Marsh Cave because I'm like, well, I feel behind. Maybe if Slab's in Marsh Cave, that gives me a little bit of time gained back. But then I elected not to because I knew with the ribbon that I already had that I was going to risk it in the ice cave, grind my black belt to 40 so that I could make the run out of there without my white mage, and then hopefully go from there. And, you know, my heart was stopping obviously every time I saw Glance because there's like the super rare chance they can go through your ribbon and kill you. I was out of the quad X HP range, so I got through the grind. I was like, all right, you know, I think, in Earth. Yeah, I was in Earth when Xelnas forfeit, and because I was talking with him in the IRC, I completely forgot that I still needed the slab for that first run of the Earth Cave, which is why I went back in.
Got it. Okay.
And then I was like, all right, well, we'll go mermaid side. We'll check everything because I have everything. And then I was like, all right, I'll check, the pre-mermaid chest just because why not at this point? I'm not in any pressure to skip those 4 or 5 like I normally would. And then, of course, I checked the Keylock one, and I see the slab, and I have a giant smile on my face because I'm the one that wants the seed where Crown is in, like, mermaids, and then slab is in that chest. And you have to actually consciously come back for that one Keylock chest in the water cave after you get the crown on that same side of water cave. So, like, it's probably the bottom of your priority list at that point. And, like, that's what I want to see happen to somebody because it's just the trolliest thing possible. And I see the slab, and I just had a giant smile on my face as soon as the slab popped up. I was just like, yep. Why wouldn't you be anywhere else but here, slab?
And we're also joined in the chat, or the commentary room by Xelnas. Xelnas, GG to you.
Yeah. No, it wasn't worth it to me.
I get it.
That failed spectacularly.
Yeah, that Agama.
Stone Touch hits for over 150 damage. And I was like, okay. I guess if I invis 2 and just, like, saber up, I can probably just grind out. No, one shot. Even through Invises, she was like 2-shot in. Logic, where's Tier 4? Did you ever find it?
Tier 4 was level 6.
Was it?
It was okay for the white mage, and it was class locked for the red mage.
Yeah, I did double black belt, black mage, white mage with the end goal being black belt, white mage is the final part. Like black belt, grind, and then white mage would just kind of get levels again after that, and then black mage would just stay dead. That wasn't 100%. That part wasn't. I may have re-resed the black mage in what's that place called? Ocean Palace or whatever. What even game
Water
is
Cave.
Ocean Palace? Yeah. Is it called Water Cave in this one?
No, I think it's the Sea Shrine, but everything in Final Fantasy 1 is a cave, and if you just call it like Water Cave, you can't be wrong.
In Water Cave, I would call Waterfall Cave. But yeah, I probably bring them back.
I only had 1 black belt. I took a thief so that I could run.
I hovered over a thief. I hovered over the idea of black belt, red mage, thief, which was, but then, and I actually started with black belt, red mage, and then I saw life and like invis and all that, and it was all red mage lot. So I was like, do. Let's walk back.
Yeah.
Let's restart the game.
It wasn't that bad for, like, the red mages were just black mages with more HP, pretty much.
Yeah, but I wanted that life spell real bad. And I assumed, okay, well, if life is here, then I'll just get tier 4 later. And then tier 4 wasn't really available at a decent level.
Yep, not until 6. I got my black belt up to 40 by going to the ice cave.
Yeah, that was,
after the volcano, I was just like, I've got the ribbon, this is the gamble.
Well, what I would have done if I wasn't completely demotivated was once I got the 3rd ribbon, because I went straight to Earth, and I was just going to beat Earth because I had floater suit. And then I would have gotten to slab. Well, no, yeah, I would have beaten Earth, because you get the rod and you beat Earth. And so I would have beaten Earth. That was my plan. Go back to Agama and just grind on Agama with 3 ribbons. Because with 3 ribbons, he's not killing you anytime soon. With, 99 heal potions and, the 3 ribbons. Because stone is protected by ribbon, I'm pretty sure. Right?
Yeah, there's still the slight chance that it goes through like everything else in the game. It's only a protection, not immunity. It's like 3 out of 256 or something like that. It's super rare.
I would have had sauce anyways. It's not it mattered. And eventually the black belts would just start killing him, which would have worked out. I bet I would have won the race, but then I couldn't. just personal things. It's all good. I'll be in this one next time, probably. Almost definitely.
Well, and I'm
I
happy.
assume there's another one.
I'm happy to hear that, Xelnas. The way that it's going right now, Azrael, you stay alive in the Garland bracket, and so you're done with round 1 seeds. Actually, you're both done with round 1 seeds. So congratulations to both of you.
Never run this Boren seed again. This is an awful.
Yeah, round 1 is so resident.
I'm sorry. Like I said in chat, if this was like a 250% seed, or if this was like enemy strip shuffle, but like when it's vanilla is, I play PSP. I don't need to play more vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'll be in the PSP tournament 3 when it starts, probably in like January. But that I'll win. You want to see me play Final Fantasy really well? Just watch me crush people at that game.
So, Azrael, you move on to round 2, and Xelnas, I'm very happy to hear that you're going to give the Final Fantasy Randomizer tournament another shot when we do another one after this.
I've been playing this randomizer like as long as it's existed almost. So I love this randomizer. It's just I had a batch of events and I got sick during the tournament. So
got it. Any final thoughts from the two of you before we go ahead and wrap it up for the evening?
If you've never played the randomizer before, just go into the randomizer, click incentivize, keep magic shots unclicked, that's an awful option. Don't click on keep permissions, randomize the enemy table, randomize the scripts, randomize the skills, randomize the ordeals, and then just turn all the sliders to max, and then just go. That's my suggestion. Have fun. Trust me, 500% seeds are fun. That's all I have to say. I love 500%. You want to race me at 500%? You just message me on Twitch. I'm down.
How about anything from you, Azrael?
I'm just glad to get to a round that's better than just basically playing turbo fast vanilla. I went and I ate some crow and went and learned the RNG manipulation for this race because it was my whole tournament on the line here. So I'm hoping when I watch the VOD back, I get some flack for that because I've been very vocally against the RNG manipulation. I really feel like in a randomizer, you shouldn't be able to truly manipulate the RNG like we are able to because the table isn't touched in round 1.
Did anybody notice I manipulated the RNG like 20 minutes into the race to get a force Kazoku counter for more money?
I thought about doing that too. I could just get the Kazoku for money, but
when I did a hard reset instead of a soft reset, and that was intentional when I reset at Dwarf. I did that intentionally to get the Kazoku encounter. Also, because it's easier to kill it than it is to run into an evil eye or whatever they're called. So I did that too. Don't worry, you're not the only one who manips in this. I just did less so.
No, yeah, I mean, it's just the TOFR manip is so yawn. I'm looking forward to more seeds where you just have to go face first in the TOFR and hope for the best, because those seeds make for a little bit more interest in the viewer category. Like actually seeing both people running through TOFR blindly and, hoping to not lose time to anything. Whereas the manipulation, you're super safe for the whole run.
There you go, guys. You got your Ruru.
We got all of our Rurus, and if you want to Ruru a little bit more, there's a race starting up in the community where both of our competitors tonight will be thrilled to hear that the RNG table is shuffled, so you won't have to worry about original RNG manipulation strats. And so I think we'll go ahead and we'll wrap this up. Looks like there's going to be the Dragon Warrior Randomizer Winners Final begins here in 25 minutes, so you can stick around for that. For my pal Edgeworth, I'm Mick Maya, but you can call me Maya. Edgeworth, it was an absolute pleasure commentating with you tonight.
Yeah, same. I hope we get to do this again sometime.
And shout outs to our pal Shailasia, who was not only our restreamer this evening, but also ran the tracker simultaneously. So big props to our friend there. And I think at that point we'll go ahead and put a bow on this one. So again, if you didn't follow our runners, please definitely do that. You should see their Twitch handles in the chat. So give those both a follow. And thank you for hanging out with us this evening. And we'll see you again on the Randomizer Road. We've got some races tomorrow. So go ahead and take a look at that schedule and join us then. Thanks, everybody.